Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming today, especially on Memorial Day weekend. Thank you all. It's good to see you. So we have a lot coming up on June 8th. There is Lama is doing a virtual day-long meditation retreat. Those are wonderful to just kind of rejuvenate, especially after some weeks of maybe not having a day long. So it's about Sangha, live living community. Hope to see you all there. And then the pop-ups for the summer. That's going to help us keep going. So death, dying, and the bardo. And to my knowledge, Lama hasn't taught on this before, so I'm really looking forward to it. And that's Saturday, June 29th, 11:30 to 1. And karma, the mysterious key to the universe. And that's probably a key that we all want. I do. And that's Saturday, July 20th, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then East Coast location. It's so exciting. October 27th to November 1st. Wisdom House in Litchfield, Connecticut. I hear it's beautiful and it will be our first time there. So I hope you'll be able to join us. And so I want to thank everyone again. And Lama Surya, whenever you're ready, you get to take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dory. Dear Dory, Door. I forgot that it's Memorial Day, or should I say Remindfulness Day. So before I get into that, my own, let's call it Buddhist way, for lack of a better word, let's have a moment of silence, remembering all those who have gone, our loved ones, our friends, all those who are suffering and dying in war-torn zones like Gaza, Middle East, Ukraine, Sudan, many places. In this violent, volatile, agitated, and confused era. Let's have a moment of silence and remindfulness, remembering with gratitude all those who have helped us and taken care of us and brought us into the world and brought us here to the new world, whether it's the new world of the Americas a few generations ago in this immigrant country, or it's this new world of Dharma, America the Buddhaful, Dzogchen Nation, Buddha Nation, whatever you want to call it. A new world, a new life, the high ground, not just pilgrimaging to mountains like the Himalayas, the Alps, but cleaving to the high ground, assuming the high ground, taking your Buddha seat, identifying with your best self, cleaving to the high ground, or your higher power, your inner power, however you call it. It's much more sweet than any words. Moment of silence, opening our hearts, including all in our prayers and practice and sterling aspirations today. Thank you. In noble remembrance, gratitude, appreciation, respect for all those who have gone before, who we draft upon, whose wakes we're riding and are pulled along with. And I don't mean Irish wakes, that could be part of the fun. Those powerful wakes, they're like great vehicles, great ships, whose wakes we're pulled along on, the lineage masters, the parents and grandparents, and etc., the forebears. We just wanted a better life for us and our generations to follow, and our peoples. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. In remembrance of all those who are falling and who've fallen today and in past weeks and months and years, not to mention all the wars in the 20th century. Let's assume we can call it our century, most of us who are here gathered today. The Dalai Lama called it a century of wars. He says, let's make this a new century, a new millennium, time of peace, cooperation, collaboration. Thank you, Lord, Buddha, if you like, for this our day, for this our life, for all these gifts, wonders, mysteries, and delights, for gathering here, for gathering there, being now, here, not just nowhere in virtual space, but now here together. Be here now. I think I heard that before somewhere. Where else could you ever be anyway? Why not get with it instead of out of sync? In the great connection, the innate great perfection or completeness, the natural flow of the great Tao, the light beyond inner and outer, the big, particularly the ultimate sphere, the clear light, Dharmakaya, heart mind, love, unconditional, divine, not just partial, not just with lust, but love, giving without expecting to receive. A special day for remembrance, and not just of the dead, but of the living cycle, natural cycle of life and death. Mindfulness, remembering to remember what we're doing while we're doing it. That's the Buddhist memorial day, every moment. Mindfulness, look it up, you Buddhist scholars. The Buddhist word they call mindfulness, it has an element of remembering. Look it up. And friendliness also, paying attention, openness. Mindfulness rather than forgetfulness, absent-mindedness, being most and very present. Jeff Miller, yep, present! Like we used to do in elementary school. Like the Zen master, I forget his name, Hokai Ikkyu. He used to say his name, his Zen practice was say his name and then respond. Ikkyu, present! No, he would say, hi! Can we remind ourselves to be that present every moment? Not just sitting down or standing to meditate, trying not to think. That's not meditation, it's just thought swatting. That's just suppression. Awareness of thoughts and feelings is mindfulness, mindfulness meditation. Awareness of, even awareness of no thoughts at the moment in meditation. And remembering all the parts of ourselves, outer and inner and secret, mystic and in between, body, spirit, mind and body, heart and soul, to put it in English. Body, speech, and mind, as we say in Tibetan. Spirit, spiritual mind, whatever you call it. In French, the nature of mind is called esprit. Mind called spirit. Interesting. Appreciating, enjoying this quote, spiritual unquote gathering. How beautiful, how sane, how relaxing, how safe, how peaceful, and how meaningful, profound, and joyous it can be. Thank you. Enjoying the joy of meditation right here now. Nothing extra to get rid of. Nothing new to find. This moment, only moment. This breath, only breath. And the natural great perfections, Ochen, the natural great completion, completeness, the natural great connection. Open, present, incandescently present, lucidly aware, mindful rather than mindless, paying attention, it pays off. This moment is a only moment. Way to go. Thank you. Love you. Enjoy the joy of unmeditation, undoing the habit of overdoing, non-meditation, beyond doing, resting more, relying on being here now, just being, whatever you call it. Being with a capital B plus, not just a human doing, but a human being. Awareness with a capital A plus, pristine awareness, luminous, open awareness, emptiness, and luminosity or lucidity, clear light, inseparable. Some call it remembering ourselves, not being absent-minded and forgetting, denying, suppressing oneself. Fully present and accountable, yes. Hi. Enjoy the joy of Zampo's meditation. Oh, good. Namo Buddha. Assume your seat. Right now. Namo. And how? Thank you. Love you. Remember the cosmic Om, the cosmic sound, the primordial vibration of the original microwaves of what some call the Big Bang. That is the Taos as they call it in Taos, New Mexico. In the beginning was the Om, was the Logos, and without that, nothing came into being. As 'tis said, Om, Om, Om. Tune into the sound in your temples of your blood beating, or in your wrist, the feeling of the pulse. Come home to yourself, not living at a certain distance from your body, like Leopold Bloom. He listens. Assume your Buddha seat. Be Buddha right now. Who do you think you're not? Be Maho. How sweet it is. Ah, mouth open, eyes open, ears open, nose open, throat open, chest open, heart open, diaphragm open, anus open, decontracted, everything open, decontracted, at ease, relaxed, yet dynamically present and attentive. The big out breath, the seed syllable, Dzogchen, Dharma. Breathing out, it's almost impossible to say while breathing in, breathing out and releasing, emptying oneself totally. Like a bubble turned inside out in the sea. Nowhere to go, yet totally free, different at one. That where it's always been. Emptying myself totally. Bless me, Lord, bless more room for thee. Like a bubble turning inside out in the sea. Go gaga, lose the resting points, do a little of it. Say and you could very well be cured of all afflictions. Like A is the first letter of the Sanskrit Tibetan alphabet. Why get complicated or go look any further? May the force, the Tao, the view be with you. Breath is life, spirit, inspiration, life. Like bodhicitta, life. The heart's blood, life. Mani Padme Hum. Om 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 Mani Padme Hum. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may all be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, and free. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey. One family, one Sangha, one satsang, one beloved community, one circle, one. And I bow to the Buddha, the light, the God or goddess in your seat. Don't overlook them. So today, Memorial Day, at least here, North America. I don't know about the rest of the world. I didn't really research this or anything. You can if you're interested. Holidays usually, but not often in the modern world, but usually have been connected or are turning points or acupuncture points in time and space, like the new moon and the full moon of the lunar calendar, of the 28-day calendar used for so many millennia and still used in China and Tibet and Asia. The lunar calendar. Equinoxes, solstices, turning points, powerful interstices where things meet and revolving, and like the gears mesh perfectly and then start to slip a little, wear out till the next time. So Memorial Day, I wonder how many of us know what the difference is between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Not that we're here to study these things. But Memorial Day used to be called Decorations Day, starting in World War II, because people decorated the many tombstones of the dead, the recently deceased, with flowers and other things in their memory. So it's been called Memorial Day now for a long time, not Decoration Day. Veterans Day is to give thanks and remember those who served. Strict definition would be those who served in the armed forces and protecting this country. But I think for our Bodhisattva purposes, could easily be expanded to include all those who serve. You can fill in the blanks, but I'll just mention like police people, public servants. I could say mothers, but I'm going to stretch the point, say parents, many who serve, teachers, saints and bodhisattvas, many who serve, not just military, but they are in protection of our place, our land, and our society, certainly. So Veterans Day, remembering those who served. Memorial Day, remembering those who died, which are many. The statistics are unbelievable if you ever check how many died, including civilians in the world wars and other times, or how many died on one day. Even one day in the Civil War, well, all I had was old-fashioned equipment and maybe guns that took a minute to reload, unlike what we have today. Helicopters flying around with machine guns that shoot 1,000 bullets a second or 10 seconds or something. I mean, it's just unbelievable, not to mention nuclear arms. So there's a lot to think about. But without going down that way, because I've always liked poetry and write poetry and etc., I was inspired in high school by this poem. It's called In Flanders Fields, very famous, by John McCrae. He wrote it in May of 1915, when the war to end all wars. I'm going to repeat that for you youngins. It was called the War to End World Wars. It wasn't called World War I because there was no 2 or 3. Thank God, no 3. In Flanders Fields. Flanders is in Holland or Belgium, which is the border, like France, of unbelievable devastation, the invention of machine guns, trench warfare, tens of thousands of men, or should I say boys, and also animals, horses. Look up how many horses were killed in World War I. You'd be astounded. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. Don't overlook this short sentence. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, saw dawn, felt the sunset glow, the sun warm, loved and were loved, and now we lie mute and cold in Flanders Fields. There's more, but just to get to completion. To you, from failing hands we throw the bright torch. Be it yours to hold high. If you forget us who die, we shall not sleep well. You shall not learn better, though poppies grow red in Flanders Fields. Even though it rhymes, even though it's an old-fashioned poem, wow. We are the dead. How about that for a short declarative sentence, English majors, in a poem? So, actually, it reminds me that Dory reminded me that it's Mindfulness Day, and sometime in some month upcoming that I can't remember, but she mentioned July or August, I'm going to be talking about death, dying, and the Bardo, the so-called intermediate state, the Bardo, and the Tibetan Book of Dead, living up to death, the Tibetan Book of literally of liberation in the gap. Tibetan Buddhism is famous for this. It's a Dzogchen text. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. And the practice of Powa, consciousness transference at the moment of death, and other things related to death and dying. But really the point is to live now, live up to death, not kill time and deaden ourselves. There are other ways we have of missing the boat. Mindlessness, inebriation, somnolence, walking around in a brain fog, or whatever. This is the best show in town, folks. Who wants to miss it? We're not yet the dead, although some will say we have been many times, so we could identify with that. So there's a lot we could say about that, but that's going to be an interesting workshop. I think it's on a Saturday. And I haven't taught much about that before, so come along. Anyway, there's a lot to think about and remember. Maybe, if we're fortunate, we can remember our great-grandparents and grandparents or parents who've gone. Appreciation and gratitude. Somehow I don't feel my parents entirely gone, or my dear people who've gone to the happy hunting grounds. But they're not exactly haunting me, but they're always with me, with us, and I'm with them. Love is greater than death. Amen, as it says in a good book. Love doesn't just end when someone dies, does it? You still love them, and I'm going to postulate they still love us. Oneself, me. Why would they stop? Why would I stop? Thus, although most Buddhists, especially Western Buddhists who speak English, Western Buddhism sort of new in the world in the last 100 years or so, will say with one voice, like a catechism, everything is impermanent. Buddha's words himself have slight other implications or even explicit meanings. Like Buddha said, he discovered deathless nirvana. Look it up. So that does suggest something interesting, doesn't it? Maybe there's some things that aren't quite impermanent because they're not things even, like space, like nirvana consciousness or something. The technical term, whose words were all impermanent things, all compounded things are impermanent. Everything that's put together, that grows, that's born, dies. Space, nirvana consciousness, I don't know. Your concept of God, maybe. I'm not sure how impermanent that might be. Worth thinking about if you like. Of course, in the Vajrayana, there are words like Vajra or Dorje, translated as immutable, adamantine, and other things. The Vajra heart, the Vajra mind, the immutable Buddha mind, things like that. Anyway, impermanence and death are some important subjects in life, certainly in Buddha Dharma, but not only. Buddha himself said, of all the meditations, the contemplation of death and dying and impermanence is the biggest one, the greatest one. And he gave the example, I'm sure you all can relate to this, the biggest footprint in the jungle is the elephants. The greatest, most important meditation is that mortality and impermanence. That's in the sutras, which is supposed to be Buddha's words, not just later comments particular to different countries and traditions. So it's a lot to think about, and I don't know that it's something to be maudlin about. In fact, going back to remembering with gratitude and love our forebears, as I was saying, if we're lucky enough, and I was laughing to myself, I was kind of trying to get somewhere. If we're fortunate enough to have had to have late grandparents and great-grandparents and parents, if we're fortunate enough to have them, not everybody does or did, orphans, etc. And I didn't mention like losing your mate, losing your child, and things like that, which would be much more tragic. A Zen poem has it, written on a scroll by a Zen master of old and given as a gift. Grandfather dies, father dies, everyone dies. And the people he gave the gifts to said, what kind of gift, what kind of work of art is this to hang on our living room wall? And he said, Would you rather have that out of order? That's good news. That's how it should be. Father dies, grandfather, great grandfather dies, father dies. That's like Zen Buddhist humor, dark humor, what we used to call black humor. I don't even know if we can call it dark anymore, but you get the point. It's provocative. It makes you think about that, and how the greatest tragedy probably is losing a child from parents. So, a lot to think about. We'll talk about it. We'll meditate on it. And even starting now, if you haven't read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, there are various translations. The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying by Sogyo Rinpoche and others. Check it out. It's a Dzogchen text. Very interesting. A lot of teachings on the nature of mind and the clear light there, etc. Any questions, please, on this cheerful day, Memorial Day? Remembering the day of remembering that love is greater than death, and remembering those who have passed.
I don't have any questions yet, but one of the Sangha members just shared our oldest family member, June, just passed this week at 98. She had dementia, but I witnessed her radiant mind.
Imaho. If I had a gong here, I'd be trying to hit it. Thank you.
Yep. I have a question.
98 ain't too bad.
Not too bad.
Guess who's speaking?
Dory. Dory has a question. So I've been going through all my stuff, and I'm downsizing. So my nieces and nephews don't have to do it after I die. And going through parent stuff I've been doing this a couple of years. Going through parent stuff was tough. Going through my own things are tough too, because it's like, I feel like I'm losing a part of my life, but it's just a thing. And it's been in a box, and I haven't looked at it for 20 years. What do I do with this? How can I move through this maybe a little easier?
That's a good question. I'll bet some other people here have that question. I know I do. In fact, didn't I leave some stuff at your house once when I moved, Dory? Is it still there in that closet under the stairs? I hope not. I think I took it back.
No, you have it. You have it.
I'm just teasing. I see some people are smiling and really friendly relating to this. I bet you could give some of your junk to each of the people on this this call and get rid of it that way. And then you wouldn't lose it. You'd know where it was, and I'm sure they all have room, and they don't really have that problem. Right, Leo? You could put it in your barn. I've been in there. I almost got in the door. Well, my basement. Anyway, more seriously, are we really losing part of ourselves? I mean, I have an even deeper question as I'm forgetting things. How much do I have to miss them or feel bad about it? By things, I don't mean things. People's names, places, things of the past, experiences of the past, love, moving, I hate to keep saying things, moving moments, pieces of myself, if I want to identify that way. But if I tune in, then intact as ever. Even if you lose some faculties. So I see our time's up, but I want to make one more point rather than talking more in detail about clutter, about nostalgia, about memories, about all the stuff people find, not just you and me, in the attic, in the basement, in the garage. What about storage and paying every year for the storage place that you can't even get into because there's so much stuff? You can open the door, but what's the point of keep paying rent there because you have old furniture, or I don't know, in my case it would be books and things, and meditations, afus and things from the Dzogchen Foundation Center days or whatever. So one of the greatest masters of the last century, Achan Chah of Thailand, Jack Kornfield's main teacher. You can read about it in Jack Kornfield's book about Buddhist masters. I forget what it's called, but one of his books is about Buddhist masters, a chapter on Achan Chah. And he was my Theravadan preceptor in Burma and in Barre, Massachusetts, and I took lay vows from him. Great master, wonderful. They called him an arhat in Burma, in Thailand, a liberated saint or soul. Great, let's say enlightened or realized master monk his whole life with a forest monastery, very simple, but hundreds of monks and nuns there and thousands of people following in the surrounding jungles and villages and towns. This isn't just a rumor. My own friends, and I can mention their names, Theravadan, Vipassana, mindfulness teachers that went to Thailand and Burma like I did and knew him. They went to visit him in his last years, and they attested this. He had become senile. He was sitting in a wheelchair. They rolled him out for people to have darshan when visitors came or on high holy days, whatever those were. And everybody did what they did just when he was alive. I mean, he was still alive. But when he wasn't totally senile and he could remember many of them and knew their names and gave teachings and knew sutras by heart, in his heyday as a teacher and master. Totally senile. But they rolled him out and everybody got darshan, divine audience, blessings, good feelings, encouragement, vibrations, whatever you call it. Darshan is the word. It's a good word to look up. Audience with the saint, literally, or audience with God. Darshan in Sanskrit. So is that entirely the projection of the devotees because he's not even of any use anymore? Or he's not even there? Or, and Leo, you're some kind of part of the psychiatric medical mafia. What do you think? He's totally senile. Did his enlightened, whatever you want to call it, what should we call mind? Did his enlightened mind get senile or just his brain? Or his, whatever, conscious intellectual mind? I don't know. But you see my point. So I'm going to vote with number 2. Not that I have the final answer. You can think about this. You can look it up. You can ask Jack Kornfield what he thinks. I think that's very interesting to think about. So maybe that's the uncorruptible Buddha nature or living spirit or spiritual mind, not part of the senile body. The brain is part of the senile body. The brain is part of the body. But the spirit, the Buddha nature, the mind with a capital M, like they say in Zen, the supreme self, like they say in India with a capital S, is bigger than the small self that's born and dies and has a personality and ego. Even if somebody's in a coma, they're still there. Some people can hear in the coma and remember later if they're lucky enough to come back to the living. They don't give any signs they're there except for vital signs maybe, but Lou Richmond Sensei, who wrote books about this, like Raising Lazarus and Aging as a Spiritual Practice and things like that, he could hear in the coma, but he couldn't do anything. They thought he was a gonzo. And the greatest doctors in the Bay Area asked his wife if it was time to pull the plug. And she was kind of like thinking about it. She was a Buddhist too. And Lou somehow broke through and he shook his head no a little bit, enough that she said, no, look, Lou's making this one of his projects to do the impossible, as usual. That's what she said. His biggest brain surgeon, he's a specialist. That was her truth, that she knew him better than anybody. Not neuroscience, but him. I love that. So think about that. Was Ajahn Chah, still full of blessings and realization and enlightenment? Or not when he was in that very senile state? Still giving darshan to the Sangha, the followers, the disciples, the devotees, the families around there that had followed that tradition for centuries and so on. Still being useful in playing his role, which is the Bodhisattva way, of course. So I guess it's time to end there, Dory. If you have any last words. Thank you all. Thank you, Dory, Menla, Kathy, Albany's, all you who put this together. Thank you, Ashish in the technical booth. Thank you. And remember what you're doing while you're doing it on Memorial Day and every day.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Lama. And everyone in the chat, there's the links to donate to Zochan Center so we can reach more people. Also, membership offers discounts to all programs. We've got 4 amazing programs coming up June 8th, and then the pop-ups. And don't forget Dying in Bardo coming up soon. So thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy. Take care. See you next week.